Former Bandidos member Fasar Abrar Raja's rise to fame to the general public was because of his involuntary participation in the Danish documentary The Black Swan.
Jeg forklarer dig nu, at det går den lydunge. Når du taler med mig, ikke også? Så er du 100% bevidst i sådan en lyder.
Jamen, jeg er bare i tvivl om det også.
Jeg knæpper din mor og din tvivl.
The lawyer Amira Smijik cooperated with Danish TV2 to document her illegal business with Denmark's three biggest biker clubs, Hells Angels, Satudara, and Bandidos. In the criminal underworld, myths have thrived for years about Raja and how he always seems to escape prison. They call him the cat because his eyes and ears seem to be everywhere, but also because he has an uncanny ability to survive and to slip away.
Jeg var i retten på et tidspunkt i Odense. Der er en dommer, da hun hørte min forklaring, ikke? Der synes jeg, det var synd for hun. Kan du ikke se, hvor sårbar den her person er? Så derfor, jeg frafalder alt det her. Han skal jo have lov til at gå. Han skal passe sin sygdom. Så går hun op.
Since the early 2000s, he has been convicted of an extensive list of crimes, so many that in total, he could have faced up to 55 years behind bars.
Har ikke noget lugt, det er lidt noget smægt løgn.
Nej.
Det er ikke smag lugt med. Det er produceret så meget amfetaminer, at jeg er grøn. Det er rigtigt.
Er det rigtigt?
Yet he has never served a single day in prison. He has at least 9 lives, says a source familiar with Raja. The director of his straw company was held prisoner by Raja and described being whipped with rubber straps and having a power drill pressed against his leg, as well as threats involving everything from clubs to bolt cutters. He also said that Raja had threatened blowing up his children and loved ones, even naming them by name and their addresses. He has been dubbed Denmark's most dangerous biker by the police and even threatened his lawyer's life when she hadn't fixed immigration papers for his daughter.
Bare så må jeg vise dig det.
Prøv at høre, hvad jeg siger til dig. Hvis det med min datter, ikke også? Det er ikke i orden i dag.
Det er i orden.
Det er de sidste advarsler, tro mig. Og min datter, ikke? Jeg knuser dig med min bare hænder.
This is biker history with Magnus. This story is based on TV2's articles in the documentary series The Black Swan, which is based on court documents from Fasar Raja's criminal cases, hidden recordings, and a wide range of sources who, over the years, have been close to Fasar Abrar Raja. Raja denies all allegations made in the documentary, claiming he fabricated stories for Amira.
Hej Fasar. Det er Peter, jeg ringer fra TV2 Dokumentar.
TV2 Dokumentar, Peter. Og for en løgner og en svindler. Der er jo ingen tvivl om, hvem Amira er. Det er helt Danmark kender hende. Så hvis jeg sidder og lyver over for hende og giver nogle gode historier for at få hende med, så er det jo okay.
He is currently awaiting trial in Denmark and remains innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Raja grew up in Vesterbro, living in a social housing complex at the heart of what was then a thriving heroin market, centered around the capital's infamous drug street at the time. In the spring of 1997, the 22-year-old Raja broke into a dilapidated brick building, accompanied by 3 Yugoslavian associates, when the apartment exploded. The explosion hurled Raja down the stairs, leaving him severely burned. He later claimed that someone had been determined to kill him and that he was just there to pick up his mail, while the media speculated about a drug feud within the Pakistani community. But in the criminal underworld, rumors told an even more incredible tale that Raja himself had soaked the apartment in flammable liquids and struck the match, nearly sealing his own fate. The explosion remains unsolved but is believed to be linked to the heroin trade in Denmark, since Raja and his brother were key figures in Copenhagen's heroin scene at the time. They ran things like a mafia, everyone looked up to them, and they handled any venture that made money, says one of the sources to TV2. Their strong position would give Raja and his brothers opportunities to forge close alliances with individuals who would later emerge as major players in Denmark's most influential criminal circles.
Og allerede som 15-årig, der begynder jeg faktisk at tilbyde det her med kørsel. Så hvis du ringede til mig, så kom jeg bare ud til dig. Så jeg kørte bare ud til folk på mine stjålne knark og leverede hash til dem. Så det var meget uskyldigt, synes jeg selv, i starten, men altså, det udviklede sig til at blive meget groft og afstumpet, ikke?
But later, Raja and his brother and 10 others were accused of being part of a nationwide heroin network, and the people involved was handed a collective 58-year prison sentence. Yet, despite his conviction, Raja never served a day behind bars. Although a jury had convicted him, he convinced both forensic experts and high court judges that he had been in a psychotic state at the time of the crime. He was believed by the judges and was spared from going to prison, something that would be a recurring theme in Raja's meeting with the justice system. When he faced charges for extortion, weapons offenses, and threats, he, time after time, managed to leave the courtroom unscathed, creating a myth-spun aura around him. The frustrated police concluded that it wasn't worth the time to go after him. It seemed absurd to us. Every time we caught him, he was perfectly lucid and composed, a narcotics investigator told TV2. In 2010, Raja, now a Bandidos prospect, was handpicked by the club's elite for his extensive network, and he quickly rose to prominence within the club. An insider highlighted his far-reaching connections, saying that Raja had solid ties with every Norbro gang and eyes and ears everywhere. He had close contacts within the gangs that were in conflict with the Hells Angels at the time, bringing great value to the Bandidos. Another source described Raja as a natural moneymaker, always surrounded by powerful figures, eager to profit by keeping him in their corner. Among them was the Bandidos' European president, Michael Rosenwald, known as the Cook, who would hold his protective arms over the moneymaker. At 37 years old, Raja was crossing the bridge between Denmark and Sweden in a car while being tailed by the police, and at the bridge toll plaza, he was caught red-handed when the police officer stopped him. In the car's trunk, officers discovered 36 kilograms of amphetamine, and in his apartment, they found a ledger. Meticulously, he had recorded the collection and redistribution of a total of 160 kilograms of the drug. The notebook led to numerous prominent bikers convicted to years behind bars, but Raja was about to provide an explanation that would plunge the biker club into a bloody internal conflict. Prosecutor demanded a 16-year prison sentence for Raja, and he confessed, and surprised many when he, in secret, behind closed doors, revealed the mastermind orchestrating events from the shadows to the police. Although he refused to name this individual, Raja provided sufficient details during the interrogation for the police to piece together that the mastermind was Arash Hamadani, the then powerful member of Bandidos in Næstved. After his arrest, he was convicted as the ringleader of the amphetamine network. The verdict sent shockwaves through the biker club, intensified by the subsequent arrests of several high-ranking members. In the presidents in Næstved mind, there was no doubt they had an informant among them, and suspicion quickly fell on Raja. A letter was delivered to all Bandidos chapters in Europe saying, "The national leadership is infested and rotten to the core." In the months before the dispatch, members of the imprisoned president's powerful faction had tried to expel Raja from the club in bad standing. However, his powerful friend, the Cook, was said to resist this move. According to the letter's authors, in response, they declared war on both the Cook and the national leadership. They branded Raja an informer and accused the Cook, along with the entire Bandidos leadership in Denmark, of corruption over Raja's fate. The letter ended with a defiant declaration: "We would rather die standing than live on our knees." The letter sparked a series of violent clashes likened to a civil war within the Bandidos by Danish biker journalists. It began with an arson attack on Bandidos clubhouse, followed by a stabbing and several shootings, targeting members of the Næstved chapter. The conflict reached its breaking point when two Bandidos chapters, Næstved and Roskilde, split from the club, forming a new club named Westside Nation. Former brothers became sworn enemies overnight, and war erupted. The violence escalated, reaching a tragic climax in 2013. A 22-year-old man was shot dead in his own home, a sniper's bullet piercing through the balcony door as he sat watching TV. But it was a mistake. The real target was his older brother, a former Bandidos member who had defected to the rival faction. And just like that, the war ended. Ironically, the fatal misfire that claimed the wrong life brought the brutal conflict to a close. Soon after, Arash Hamadani, a key figure in the turmoil, gave a televised interview from his prison cell.
Han har ikke konkret viden om skudepisoderne og ved ikke, hvem der har gjort hvad, så han udtaler sig på baggrund af, hvad han hører fra medierne og politiet.
Jeg tror, det er uheld. Man vil lave en skræmmekampagne, skyde igennem nogle vinduer og sige, at sådan og sådan. Budskabet er at lade være. Jeg sidder ikke og siger, at vi er uskyldige, vi er en spejderklub. Tværtimod, der er vi ikke. Når det træder på os, så træder vi hårdt tilbage.
In a striking moment, the exiled president called the war a massive misunderstanding and urged his former brothers in the breakaway group to lay down their arms. In the Black Swan, Raja reflects on the situation, recalling, it was the only way he could put a stop to it. He had to issue a public apology. As for the rumors branding Raja as an informant, he describes a tense confrontation, one that could have sealed his fate. The cook fixed him with a stare and said, "Look me in the eyes. If you did it, I'll use my power to let you be. Just admit it and we'll end this right here." According to Raja, the president shielded him, even though his actions had helped spark the internal war. But he insists there was a deeper strategy at play. What happened in Næstved, he claims, was no accident. It was a calculated move by the national leadership to dismantle a chapter that had grown too strong. I was sent to Næstved by the cook to break that chapter apart because it had too much power and was the strongest chapter in Bandidos, Raja stated. In the Black Swan, Raja leaves for his native country, Pakistan, to attend a trial against him that he is forced to participate in.
Dansk statsborger var sigtet for 3 drab og et drabforsøg.
Ja.
Det er den sag til mig.
Nå, altså er du sigtet? Og du skal med op?
Ja.
Du kan ikke bare blive væk?
Det er kun én, jeg er sigtet for nu.
Altså et drab?
Nej, ikke drabforsøg. Ham den ene vil ikke dø. For det er nemmere, når I bøde.
He is potentially looking at serious time in a Pakistani prison if he is convicted.
Så nu går jeg lige ned og får det lukket.
Men hvad så, hvis du bliver dømt for drab? Hvad så? Det gør du ikke? Nej, okay. Du kan godt ordne det. Det er derfor, du tager dig noget. Ja, selvfølgelig.
Nu har jeg bare lige haft den sidste.
Og han lever stadig?
Ja. Men vi tager ham ikke død. Han skal nok dø.
When TV2 thinks that Fasar is going to silence a witness, they contact the Danish police. Raja now invites Amira to watch live on video when he solves his Pakistani problem, warning her that he hopes she knows what she will see.
Hvis jeg ringer til dig på signal på video,
ja,
så vær bevidst om, hvad du skal se, ikke også? Ellers så lader du være med at tage.
Okay.
Kort efter samtalen sender Fasar en række billeder til Amira, der for os sandsynliggør, at et drab på det pakistanske vidne kan være nært forestående. Vi sørger igen for, at dansk politi bliver underrettet, og vi ser også en bekræftelse på, at de vil orientere deres samarbejdspartnere i Pakistan.
Raja is not able to get to the man, but after being on a pilgrimage to Mecca, Raja calls Amira and says that the problem has been solved.
Men hvad med det der, altså er det du...
Det er der er ikke noget. Der er ikke noget. Eller så var ikke kommet.
Er han stadig indlagt, eller?
Nej, han døde af hjertestop, siger de.
Nå, okay. Så der er ikke... ja.
Nej, det er gået i sig selv, kan du kalde det.
Det er lidt kryptisk, men det lyder til, at Fasars pakistanske problem er blevet løst. Nu hvor vidnet åbenbart har fået hjertestop.
The sudden heart attack has solved Raja's problems in Pakistan.
Om der er tale om et naturligt hjertestop eller ej, melder historien ikke noget om. Vi har ikke haft held med at få officielle kilder i Pakistan til at bekræfte historien. Til gengæld fortæller flere kilder til baggrund, at de er bekendt med Fasars retssag, men at den nu er blevet lagt ned.
Suggesting that TV2's alert to the Danish police didn't help the now dead man. When he comes back to Denmark, he discovers that his lawyer, Lisa Roulon, and Amira has suggested closing down his company because the government have started looking into it, something Raja doesn't appreciate.
Og nu når vi er i gang, kan du fortsætte som min advokat?
Jamen altså, det synes jeg, du skal vurdere.
Nej, du skal forstå den her møde her. Det kommer ikke til. Prøv her. Når du Lise,
ja.
Hvis spørgsmålet skal du fortsætte som min advokat, så skal du ikke gøre det her igen. Jeg skal ikke sidde her.
Nej.
Så det er vi enige om?
Ja, det er vi enige om.
Godt.
Not even Raja's corrupt lawyer, Lisa, who has facilitated much of Raja's money laundering over the years, is safe from his wrath. In his next trial, Raja once again avoided prison altogether by convincing forensic psychiatrists and judges that he had been legally insane at the time of the crime. But, unlike his previous 4 convictions, this time he was sentenced to confinement in a psychiatric hospital in Roskilde. The chief physician described him as generally friendly and compliant. Staff members had no suspicions of drug abuse or any new criminal activity, according to the doctor. But Raja recounts an environment flooded with drugs, both inside the facility, and even describes sexual relationships with nurses. This led in turn to even more lenient outing privileges. He had frequent visits to the Bandidos clubhouse while he was supposedly hospitalized. In 2015, Raja attacked and threatened a well-known lawyer, screaming, "Give me the knife, I'll fucking stab him." But the lawyer managed to slip away and Raja was arrested shortly after. When he stood trial, he carried glowing recommendations from the same chief physician, whom highlighted Raja's significant progress and even recommended that the court lift his placement entirely, allowing him to walk away a free man. The assault resulted in only a 2-month suspension of Raja's right to leave the hospital. However, in a recording, Raja tells another criminal how to avoid prison time, detailing how to deceive forensic psychiatrists and legal doctors into believing he was mentally ill and therefore not criminally responsible. Despite remaining confined to the psychiatric hospital after the assault, Raja managed to launch a flourishing business with revenues in the millions.
En stor entreprenør med et problem, som Fasar har hjulpet med at skaffe af vejen.
Det, der er det største problem for dem, det er, at klasse 4 jord, det er meget farlig jord. Okay. Det var så farligt, at hvis du tjente din latte, så ville det ikke slutte der. Der er ikke nogen, der ved. Har bygherren noget snydt, og så går det væk som ren jord. Det er der kun en, der kan belyse. Og det er mig.
Vi aner omridset af noget, der lyder som en forretningsmodel hentet fra den napolitanske mafia, som er berygtet for at skaffe giftigt affald af vejen på ulovlig vis.
He never paid VAT or taxes, and by the summer 2020, his unpaid debts had ballooned to nearly 10 million kroner, prompting the state prosecutor to take action. Just like his lawyers, Lisa and Amira had feared and was trying to avoid when they wanted to close Raja's company. In the courtroom, Raja walked in barefoot, accompanied by a man whom he introduced as his guardian. Raja claimed he had given out his NEM ID whenever requested, leaving him clueless about who was running the company in his name. The judge believed him, and Raja recalls the judge's reaction.
Der er en dommer, da hun hørte min forklaring, der synes jo, det var synd for hende. En dommer, hun sagde til ham der, nu stopper du. Kan du ikke se, hvor sårbar den her person er? Så derfor, jeg frafalder alt det her. Han skal jo have lov til at gå. Han skal passe sin sygdom. Så kommer hun op. Der er et kram. Vi var så bange for dem, at vi ville se os dernede, fordi vi griner.
The judge has denied that she ever gave Raja a hug. The court ruled that he was prohibited from launching any new ventures. What the court didn't know was that Raja, just 2 months earlier, had already set up a new company. This time, he installed a strawman director who, on paper, fronted the business. The very same man who would later find a dog leash strap thrown around his neck by Raja. Millions began pouring into Raja's newly launched business, but due to a string of suspicious million-dollar transfers, the bank froze the company's accounts and alerted the police. Roughly 8 million in funds was locked away, and he then began threatening his strawman, the puppet director. Fearing for his life, the director met with his lawyer, and then he recounted how Raja and his cronies had repeatedly tormented him in a basement.
Sigtet Fasar livrem om halsen.
Så griner
Det
du.
var ikke en livrem, men jeg siger det.
Var det din halsbånd?
Det er godt, jeg er så en ud, mand.
Vi kan komme til at gø også.
Ja. Sæt dig ned.
He recounted being whipped with rubber straps and having a power drill pressed against his leg, while also enduring threats involving blowing up his children and loved ones, going so far as to name them individually and reveal their addresses. Shortly after he had arrived at his lawyer, Raja knocked on the door, prompting the lawyer to immediately call the police. The director also told about Raja's methods using shell companies, covert million-dollar transfers, and cash payments to Romanian workers. But thanks to his lawyer Lisa, he'd obtained the entire police investigation on a USB drive, containing 1,016 pages of sensitive documents, including every statement made by the strawman.
Jeg kunne jo komme til at lave en kopi. Jeg kom til at...
Kan du lave den nu?
Har du et spidstik?
Ja,
hvordan gør man sådan noget?
Det var.
Den der, du fik vejen over.
Nej, det er noget, jeg har stjålet på min advokat. Det er noget, jeg har stjålet på min advokat.
Jeg prøvede at være forsigtig.
Ja, præcis.
Alle er med i den her.
Helt seriøst.
Som de går rundt og snakker om alle sammen. Nu har jeg den, der er bare, og der er ikke nogen, der ved, jeg har den her.
But even with the financial trail in hand, the police couldn't nail him, and the prosecutor dropped the case, letting Raja go free. Amira is now the next to experience Raja's wrath when she fails to get a residence permit for his Pakistani daughter, and he threatens her life.
Fasar, må jeg vise dig det?
Prøv at høre, hvad jeg siger til dig. Hvis det er med min datter, ikke også? Det er ikke i orden i dag.
Det er i orden.
Hør efter, hvad jeg siger til dig.
Til dig.
Få styr på det her, hvis du ikke skal komme noget i vejen med dig. Ikke? Det er din sidste advarsel, tro mig. Og min datter, ikke? Jeg knuser dig med min bare hænder.
Selvfølgelig gør du det.
TV2 wants to pull her out and put her in a safe house, but Amira refuses and solves it her own way.
Men han sender også flere mails og skriver blandt andet: det du er i gang med ender galt. Det er din sidste chance for at mødes med mig i morgen. Ellers dukker jeg op hjemme hos dig, og så har du ikke mere at forklare.
Jeg synes virkelig, at du skal ringe til politiet.
Nej, jeg klarer det her på min egen måde.
Men det er jo politiet, hvis han er troende.
Så må jeg jo få nogen til at tage sig af ham.
She calls her secret boyfriend, a high-ranking member of one of Denmark's biggest street gangs.
Jeg har haft en kammerat uden at snakke med Fasar. Han tog telefonen og ringede ham op, ikke?
Ja.
Han sagde til ham, bare helt stille og roligt, sagde han, hvis du kommer foran hendes dør igen, hvis du viser dig foran hende, eller du så meget så nævner hendes navn, så får du en kugle i hovedet. Nej, bror, det er min søster, jeg vil ikke have problemer med nogen. Bror, men jeg lover dig, jeg gør hende ikke noget, fordi det var en, der var højt oppe.
Amira's cooperation with Danish TV2 led to the downfall of several lawyers and businessmen that was in cahoots with Amira and the biggest biker clubs in Denmark. Check out my video for the full story. Raja has left Bandidos since the release of the hidden recordings and later became a probationary member of Hell's Angels, but today he is no longer affiliated with either clubs. Raja has declined to give an interview to TV2. However, through his lawyer, he states that his remarks do not reflect reality and that he has never engaged in any of the actions presented in the program. In 2024, Raja was taken into custody while authorities investigated both him and his statements in the Black Swan. He was released from pre-trial detention in early 2025 and is now awaiting trial. Upon his release, Raja publicly shared details about his vacation destination, which led the Danish People's Party to demand that his Danish citizenship should be revoked. The party has now brought a proposal to the Danish parliament suggesting that Raja should lose his Danish citizenship. This proposal will be voted over by Parliament in the near future, and if successful, Raja will be forced to leave Denmark permanently. Michael the cook Rosenvold refuses to answer questions about Bandidos, citing the ongoing legal case against the club. Bandidos has been temporarily banned in Denmark while awaiting a ruling from the Supreme Court on whether the ban will become permanent. In an email to TV2, Rosenvold denies having given Raja any special treatment within the club and distances himself from him. Fasar was sentenced to treatment. I have known him and visited him in Roskilde. I never exempted him from the alleged obligations, and in fact, I was opposed to bringing him in from the start. With his diagnosis, he had no place in a club environment. Beyond that, I can't say much more as I am not allowed to discuss the club. Best regards, the cook. If the ruling goes against Bandidos, Denmark's Minister of Justice has vowed that Hell's Angels will be next on the list. Following the explosive revelations in the documentary, Lisa Ruland left Denmark and moved across the strait to Sweden, reportedly to escape the media frenzy. In response to the allegations against her, the Danish Bar Council filed a police report accusing her of possible money laundering and breaches of confidentiality. They later escalated their actions by initiating legal proceedings to strip her of her right to practice law indefinitely. Meanwhile, Amira now lives in hiding, and in a rare interview she described how her life has been turned upside down since the film's release. Due to the threats against her, even going shopping have become a calculated risk, and probably will be for a long time. Thank you for holding on all the way to the end, so why not give this video a like and subscribe.